First contact. The Velnorian Empire had ruled the stars for over 12,000 cycles. Their sleek, crystalline ships were symbols of authority across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Countless species had been conquered, subjugated, or simply wiped away when they refused to acknowledge Velnorian supremacy. Such was the natural order of things. The strong ruled, the weak served. It was a philosophy that had served the Empire well. Commander Theric stood at the observation deck of the Imperial flagship Dominant Will, his 4 amber eyes scanning the holographic display of newly acquired territories. His scaled skin, a deep azure that marked his high birth, caught the light of nearby stars as he contemplated recent reports. "Commander, we've detected something unusual," said Lieutenant Vex, approaching with a data crystal. "The Deep Space Monitoring Station in Sector 517 has been picking up strange transmissions for the past 12 cycles." Therix took the crystal, inserting it into the command console. The holographic display shifted, showing a star system on the outer edge of Velnorian space. "What kind of transmissions?" "We're not entirely sure, sir. They don't match any known communication patterns in our database. They appear to be evolving." Therix's secondary eyelids flickered, a sign of intrigue among his kind. "Evolving? Explain." The initial signals were simple mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic equations, but they've been growing increasingly complex. The latest transmissions contain what our analysts believe to be language patterns, images, and possibly technical data. A new species attempting contact. Therix mused, his inner membranes contracting. This was unusual but not unprecedented. New spacefaring races emerged occasionally, though most quickly learned their place in the galactic hierarchy. "That's our assessment, sir. They call themselves humans." Therix had never heard the term. "Have we located their homeworld?" "Not yet, Commander. The signals are coming from multiple directions, suggesting they may have already established colonies beyond their original system." This caught Therix's attention. Multiple colonies implied a civilization that had achieved faster-than-light travel, a technological benchmark that warranted closer observation. "Prepare a report for the High Command. I want a scout vessel dispatched to investigate further." 3 cycles later, Therix stood before the Velnorian High Command, the 7 eldest and most powerful members of his species. Their scales had faded to pale white with age, their multiple eyes clouded but still sharp with intelligence. The central chamber of the Imperial Palace was designed to intimidate, with its towering columns of polished bone and the constantly shifting floor that kept visitors off balance. "These humans are of no concern," declared Supreme Overlord Zex, his voice resonating through the chamber. "We have reviewed the data. Their signals originate from a backwater region of the galaxy. Their technology appears primitive compared to ours." Therix maintained the appropriate posture of deference, but pressed his point. "With respect, Supreme Overlord, the speed with which they've expanded suggests capabilities we may not fully understand. Are you suggesting this minor species poses a threat to the Empire?" hissed Counselor Myth, her scales bristling with indignation. "I suggest only that we investigate thoroughly before dismissing them," Therix replied carefully. "Their communication patterns indicate a highly adaptable intelligence. They appear to be learning and evolving their technology at an accelerated rate." After much debate, Therix was granted permission to lead a small exploratory fleet to the region where the human signals originated. As they traveled through the void between stars, Therix immersed himself in the study of the intercepted human communications. What he found disturbed him deeply. Unlike the Velnorians, who had evolved over millions of years in a stable environment, humans appeared to have emerged from a volatile, unpredictable world. Their history was marked by constant adaptation to changing conditions. Their scientific progress had accelerated at an exponential rate, advancing more in 5 centuries than most species did in 5,000. Most troubling of all, humans seemed to thrive on conflict. Where Velnorians conquered efficiently to maintain order, humans fought chaotically, desperately, innovating wildly under pressure. They had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times, yet emerged stronger each time. "Commander," his second-in-command interrupted his studies. "We've detected a small vessel at the edge of the star system we're approaching." Therix moved to the command deck. "Show me." The holographic display revealed a ship unlike any in Velmorian records. It was ungraceful by their standards, a utilitarian design of metal and composite materials. Yet something about it suggested hidden capabilities. "It appears to be a survey craft," his science officer reported. "Minimal weapons, standard shields. 2 life forms aboard." "Have they detected us?" "No, Commander. Our cloaking field is functioning optimally." Therix pondered his options. This was the perfect opportunity to observe humans directly without revealing the Empire's presence. Maintain distance but continue monitoring. I want detailed scans of their technology. For 6 days, they shadowed the human vessel as it methodically charted the system, collecting samples from asteroids and scanning planets. Therix watched with growing unease as the humans' actions revealed a thoroughness and scientific precision that matched Velmorian standards. On the 7th day, disaster struck. "Commander," his tactical officer called out in alarm. "The human vessel has just launched some kind of probe. It's heading straight for us." "Impossible," Therix hissed. "Our cloaking technology is impenetrable." Yet the evidence was undeniable. The small probe accelerated toward their position, its sensors clearly locked onto the cloaked Velmorian ship. "They've detected us," Therix realized. "Raise shields. Prepare to engage." Before they could act, the probe detonated, releasing not an explosive but a complex electromagnetic pulse that washed over their vessel. Ship systems flickered, and the cloaking field collapsed. Exposed, the Velmorian scout ship now faced the much smaller human vessel. For a moment, neither moved. Then the humans initiated communication. "Unknown vessel," came the transmission in perfect Velmorian language, shocking everyone on the command deck. "This is Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Alliance survey ship Curiosity. We mean no harm but will defend ourselves if necessary. Please identify yourself." Therix's mind reeled. How had they translated so quickly? How had they even detected a cloaked Imperial vessel? "Open a channel," he ordered, composing himself. "This is Commander Therix of the Velmorian Empire. Your presence has been noted in territory claimed by our sovereign domain." There was a pause before the human responded. "We were unaware of any territorial claims to this system. Our charts show it as unclaimed space. We apologize for any misunderstanding." The politeness seemed genuine, but Therix detected something else, a complete lack of fear. Either these humans didn't know who the Velmorians were, or they weren't intimidated by the Empire. Both possibilities were concerning. "You will power down your vessel and prepare to be boarded for inspection," Therix commanded, following standard protocol. Another pause. "I'm afraid we can't do that, Commander. While we respect your authority in your recognized territories, we cannot submit to boarding without authorization from our government. Perhaps we could arrange a formal diplomatic meeting instead." Therix's secondary heart began beating faster, a physiological response to perceived threat. No species refused Velmorian commands. It simply wasn't done. "This is not a negotiation," he stated coldly. "Power down or face the consequences." The human vessel began moving, not toward them, but into a defensive position. "Commander Therix," came Captain Rey's voice again, still calm but with a new edge of steel. "We have no wish for conflict, but you should know that our position is being continuously monitored by multiple Earth Alliance vessels. Any hostile action will trigger an immediate response." Therix ordered a scan of the surrounding space. To his shock, the sensors detected quantum entanglement signatures at the edge of the system, evidence of faster-than-light communication. The humans were not bluffing. With reluctance, he ordered his ship to stand down. This encounter would need to be reported to the High Command immediately. The humans had demonstrated technology that should have been beyond their capabilities, including the ability to detect and disrupt Velmorian cloaking fields. As his ship retreated to a safe distance, Therix reviewed everything he had learned about humans. Their adaptability, their resourcefulness, their rapid technological advancement, all pointed to a species unlike any the Empire had encountered before. When he returned to Velmorian space weeks later, Therix stood again before the High Command, his report far more urgent than before. "These humans," he explained, "have achieved technological parity with us in several key areas, possibly superiority in others. They've established colonies in at least 12 star systems that we've confirmed, with indications of many more. They've developed faster-than-light communication that operates on principles our scientists don't fully understand." The High Command listened in stunned silence as Therix continued. "Most concerning of all, they appear to be expanding in all directions at an accelerating rate, based on their current trajectory." He hesitated, knowing how his next words would be received. "They will reach the core systems of our empire within 50 cycles." Supreme Overlord Zex rose from his throne, his ancient body trembling not with age but with rage. "You suggest that these upstarts could threaten the Velmorian Empire? Impossible." "Not impossible, Supreme One," Therix replied gravely. "I have reviewed our own historical records. The pattern is clear. Throughout our 12,000 cycles of dominance, we have conquered many worlds, but our rate of technological advancement has slowed. We have grown complacent." The chamber erupted in outrage at this heresy, but Therix stood firm. "The humans are coming," he declared over the din. "They are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not fear us. They do not recognize our supremacy. And they are advancing at a rate that defies all previous patterns." As the High Command debated furiously, a junior officer entered the chamber, approaching Therix with a data crystal. The commander reviewed its contents, his scales paling. "Supreme Ones," he interrupted, his voice cutting through the arguments. "I have just received confirmation that human vessels have been detected in 23 systems along our outer territories. They are not just coming." He looked up, meeting the gaze of each council member in turn. "They are already here." The reckoning. Dawn broke over the crystalline spires of Velmor Prime as Imperial warships filled the skies. The capital world of the Empire had not witnessed such military activity in thousands of cycles. Citizens looked up in confusion as dreadnoughts and battle cruisers maneuvered into defensive formations around the planet. In the High Command's war chamber, Commander Therix stood before a three-dimensional tactical display, showing the positions of both Velmorian and human forces across the galaxy. Red markers indicating confirmed human presence had multiplied exponentially since his first report. "Their expansion defies conventional patterns," explained Therix to the assembled military leadership. "Unlike our methodical colonization efforts, humans establish multiple outposts simultaneously, each acting with surprising autonomy." Supreme Military Director Keth, a battle-scarred veteran with midnight blue scales, studied the display with narrowed eyes. "You claim they've achieved technological parity, yet our intelligence suggests their ships are inferior to ours in both armament and defense." "Their individual vessels may be less powerful," Therix conceded, "but they compensate through tactical flexibility and numerical advantage. They build ships at an astonishing rate." "Quantity cannot overcome quality," snorted Director Keth. "The Empire has faced numerically superior forces before." Therix adjusted the display, zooming in on footage captured by Velmorian scouts. "The humans have developed modular ship designs that can be rapidly reconfigured for different missions. They employ swarm tactics, distributed command structures, and unpredictable attack patterns." The footage showed a Velmorian patrol vessel confronting several smaller human ships. The patrol vessel fired its main weapon, destroying one human craft, but the others scattered in seemingly random directions before converging again from multiple vectors, overwhelming the Velmorian shields. "This is one engagement," Therix continued. "We've documented 17 similar encounters along our borders. In 15 of them, our forces were defeated or forced to retreat. Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. The Velnorian military had not suffered such losses in thousands of cycles. "We cannot allow this challenge to our authority to continue," declared Supreme Overlord Zex from his elevated platform. "Commander Therix, you understand these humans better than anyone. You will lead our counter-offensive." Therix bowed deeply, his inner eyelids flickering with concern. "With respect, Supreme One, I recommend caution. We should gather more intelligence before." "Your concerns are noted," interrupted Zex. "But the Empire does not wait while barbarians encroach on our territory. You will take the 7th Fleet and secure our borders. Show these humans the true power of the Velnorian Empire." 3 weeks later, Commander Therix stood on the bridge of the Dominant Will, now the flagship of the largest Velnorian battle group assembled in 500 cycles. 60 capital ships and over 200 support vessels moved in perfect formation toward the contested region, where human activity had been most concentrated. "All vessels report ready, Commander," announced his first officer. Therix acknowledged with a slight nod, his mind racing with misgivings. The High Command had dismissed his concerns about human adaptability, confident in their superior firepower. But something about the humans' behavior troubled him. They seemed to be deliberately drawing Velnorian forces to this region. "Launch reconnaissance drones," Therix ordered. "Full spectrum analysis of the surrounding space. I want to know if there are any anomalies before we proceed." The drones scattered outward, sending back streams of data that filled the holographic displays around the command deck. For several minutes, nothing unusual appeared. Then one of the drones went silent. "Drone 7 has ceased transmission," reported the sensor officer. "No indication of malfunction or attack." Before Therix could respond, 2 more drones vanished from the network. Then 5 more in rapid succession. "All ships, battle stations," Therix commanded, his scales darkening with tension. "Something is targeting our drones. Prepare for—" He never finished the sentence. Space itself seemed to ripple around them as dozens of human vessels appeared where none had been detected before. They had been waiting, hidden by some form of advanced cloaking technology that even Velnorian sensors couldn't penetrate. "Impossible," whispered his tactical officer. "Our scanners show no energy signatures, no mass readings. How did they conceal an entire battle group?" Therix had no answer, but he recognized the tactical situation immediately. They were surrounded. A communication request flashed on the main display. Therix hesitated, then nodded to accept it. The image that appeared was of a human female, her dark skin contrasting with the white uniform she wore. Stars on her collar indicated high rank. "Commander Therix," she greeted him by name. "I am Admiral Sophia Chen of the Earth Alliance Defense Fleet. You have entered disputed space with a military force. State your intentions." Therix bristled at the human's presumption. "This is not disputed space. These star systems have been claimed by the Velnorian Empire for 3,000 cycles. Your presence here is a violation of imperial sovereignty." Admiral Chen's expression remained impassive. "Our historical records show no evidence of Velnorian settlement or development in these systems. Regardless, we are prepared to negotiate territorial boundaries through diplomatic channels." "The Empire does not negotiate with lesser species," Therix replied automatically, repeating the doctrine that had guided Velnorian expansion for millennia. "You will withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences." A flicker of something, disappointment perhaps, crossed the human admiral's face. "I had hoped for a more productive discussion, Commander. We have studied your history and culture extensively. We know the Velnorians were once great innovators, philosophers, artists. What happened to that civilization? When did conquest become your only purpose?" The question struck Therix like a physical blow. No one had spoken to a Velnorian commander this way in living memory. "You know nothing of our ways," he snarled. "The strong rule. The weak serve or perish. That is the natural order of the galaxy. An order that's about to change," replied Admiral Chen quietly. "This is your final opportunity to withdraw peacefully. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves. Therix cut the transmission with a gesture of contempt. All ships, prepare to engage. Target their command vessels first. The Velnorian fleet moved with practiced precision, their formation shifting to maximize firepower against the surrounding human vessels. The first salvos of energy weapons lanced out across space, striking human shields in blinding flashes of light. But the human ships did not behave as expected. Instead of maintaining formation or retreating under fire, they scattered in seemingly random patterns, making targeting increasingly difficult. Some accelerated to velocities Velmorian tacticians had deemed impossible for ships of their size, while others executed maneuvers that would have torn apart vessels built with conventional materials. They're using some kind of advanced inertial dampening technology, reported his science officer in disbelief. And their hull materials are absorbing energy in ways our weapons weren't designed to counter. Worse, the humans were not fighting as a unified fleet, but as dozens of independent battle groups, each adapting different tactics to probe Velmorian defenses. When one approach failed, they immediately switched to another. Therix watched in growing horror as the elegant battle plan he had developed began to unravel. The Velnorian fleet, trained to fight in rigid formations against predictable enemies, struggled to adapt to the humans' chaotic style of warfare. Cruiser Group 3 has lost shields, came a report from the tactical station. Destroyer Silent Blade reports critical damage to propulsion systems. Before Therix could issue new orders, space around them flickered again as a second wave of human vessels materialized, these much larger than the first. New contacts, his sensor officer reported, voice rising in panic. Energy readings exceed anything in our database. They appear to be charging weapons. A second communication request appeared on the display. Admiral Chen again. Commander Therix, she said when the connection opened. You've now seen a demonstration of our capabilities. This is a mere fraction of our available forces. I ask again, will you withdraw and pursue diplomatic solutions? Therix's mind raced. The battle was only minutes old, and already the mighty Seventh Fleet was in disarray. The humans had outmaneuvered them completely, revealing technologies and tactics that the Empire had never encountered. If he continued the fight, how many Velmorian lives would be lost? And for what? To preserve an image of invincibility that had already been shattered. Hold fire, he ordered his fleet, a command that would have been unthinkable hours earlier. To the human admiral, he said, I will consider withdrawal if you guarantee safe passage. Admiral Chen nodded. You have our word. No human vessel will fire unless fired upon. As the Velmorian fleet regrouped and began its retreat, Therix remained on the command deck, staring at the tactical display that showed the true extent of the human presence in what had once been uncontested Velnorian space. They let us go, murmured his first officer, disbelief evident in his voice. They could have destroyed us, but they let us go. Yes, said Therix, a new understanding dawning. Because they don't want conquest. They want something we haven't offered anyone in thousands of cycles. What is that, Commander? Respect, partnership, equality. The words felt strange in his mouth, concepts the Empire had abandoned long ago. They're not like the species we've subjugated before. They don't fear us, and they don't hate us. They simply refuse to accept the role we've assigned them. When Therix returned to Velmor Prime, he expected execution for his failure. Instead, he found the High Command in chaos. Reports from across the galaxy confirmed what he had experienced firsthand. Human expansion had far outpaced Velmorian intelligence estimates, and their technological capabilities exceeded Imperial standards in several critical areas. They build ships in months that would take us decades, one admiral reported. Their communication networks operate across distances that should be impossible without relay stations. Their weapons adapt to our defenses after a single engagement. Supreme Overlord Zex, looking suddenly ancient and frail, turned to Therix. You were right to warn us, Commander, but what are we to do now? For 12,000 cycles, the Empire has known only victory. Our society is not structured for compromise. Theric stepped forward, a dangerous proposal forming in his mind. Supreme One, I believe we must reconsider the foundations of our civilization. The humans have demonstrated that cooperation can be as powerful as conquest. Perhaps it is time for the Empire to evolve. The council chamber fell silent at these heretical words. But rather than outrage, Theric saw something new in the eyes of the High Command. Uncertainty. For the first time in millennia, the future of the Velmorian Empire was not assured. The humans are not merely coming. Theric concluded. They are here, and they have changed everything. We can adapt, or we can perish. Those are the only choices they have left us. 2 cycles later, a Velmorian diplomatic vessel approached Earth, the human homeworld. Commander Theric, now appointed as the Empire's first ambassador of interspecies relations, stood at the viewport, watching the blue-green planet grow larger. "It's beautiful," he remarked to his aide. "So much water, so many climates on a single world. No wonder they adapted so quickly. Their entire evolution prepared them for change." As the ship entered orbit, a message arrived from the surface. It was Admiral Chen, now serving as Earth's diplomatic liaison. "Welcome to our home, Ambassador Theric," she said, her image appearing on the screen. "We look forward to beginning a new chapter in our species' histories." Theric nodded, accepting the new reality. The Velmorian Empire had ruled the stars unchallenged for 12,000 cycles. That era was now over. The humans had arrived, bringing with them not just superior technology or tactics, but something far more powerful, a different vision of what the galaxy could become. The age of conquest was ending. The age of cooperation was beginning. And for the first time in his life, Theric found himself curious rather than afraid of what the future might hold.